if you're joining us online, there is some construction that's going on directly outside the front door. Bulldozer, engines, a dump truck apparently tearing up the road and laying down some new pipes or something. Taxpayer's dollars on the alley here, Sacred Embodiment Center. Interesting how that song just at the end of the meditation was about feeling the silence. It starts out as, are you looking for a haven from the noise that's all around, is how the song starts out. I was like, and then it goes through a bunch of, silences, peace, and silences, joy, and silences, creation, and silences, all of these things. And meanwhile, all of this beeping and humming and drumming and pounding is going on the outside. And I thought, what a beautiful analogy and acknowledgement of what is presently, even just literally going on right now in this space around. And so it allowed me to even go deeper by listening to those words. What I felt was quiet. If quiet can be a feeling, it's this sense of letting go of everything else. Yes, I can still hear it, but it wasn't, my focus was no longer on what was going on out there and trying to resist or be upset or wonder why, how could this be happening right now during, this time that is always set aside, and so on and so forth. Silly questions on one side, but also very real to the thinking process, which can take us outside. It always, thinking can take us so much outside of ourselves. And with the intention and the purpose of going inward to ground and to become centered, which is the first half hour that is presented before we actually begin to have a discussion and call in the energies and move it within the QiGong practice. In this practice. What an amazing practice to be able to just go within and feel that silence. Even if it was only for about 5 or 10 minutes, which is about as long as the song was. And before, I was almost there. I felt it, and then the knock on the door came from one of the construction workers who was asking about a vehicle. I was like, and then an opportunity to go back in to. So very cool in many ways, and I look at life as that. It's an opportunity because chaos is constantly going on around us. I mean, there are many, many things. There's another knock on the door. Hard enough from there. It looks like spiritual. So let me check with that. 1 second. We may have to go to the park, so we may, after this talk, guys, go ahead and just vacate the space and go to a little quieter place in the park, and I would invite you to check out one of the archives for practice today if you're signing on. Hold on. Looks like they're figuring it out. More cars parked on the street that need to be removed. So. And here's my lesson in life that I have learned. If you cannot laugh about it, you might as well give it up. Because there are many things that are going to be happening around you that you are not going to be able to control. Just I have this conversation daily, and it's something that over the past couple of years, it seems like more and more people are really getting that there's the things that we can't control are everything outside of us, and the only thing that we can control is how do we react or not react to it. And it's been a beautiful practice for me, a lesson for me to be able to put that truly into the daily events of my life. every time I come to a Qigong practice, I don't know if one person is going to show up or if 100 people are going to show up. I cannot control those circumstances. What I can do is influence simply by being present. And we have had, not 100 yet, but we've had 10, 15 people show up on a Monday out of the blue. Sometimes I wonder, somebody put something in the water yesterday that, all of a sudden caused people to show up. And sometimes it's just one. And I say, where one or more gathered. And I'm that one that has to show up. And you're that one that has to show up for yourself. And then the rest is the opportunity to practice together. So today's practice is really about, and as we move into the energy of this, well, we're in it right now, this full moon energy of balance, Libra. We're in the energy of Libra. Just came out of a new moon in Aries, or I believe it was Aries. Fiery energy, new things being rebirthed, literally, for a lot of people. And now we're at the swelling point of what are we about to let go even more through this, through this time over the course of the next 2 or 3 days, as this beautiful moon energy, if you follow along with that and the effects of the planets in the galaxy and with us, is that it's about really coming, as we let go, the scales tip back towards the middle. And then we let more in, and then the scales will tip again, and then we have to let more stuff go, and so on and so forth, until we can, really find that beautiful place in the center of ourselves, trusting everything that is going on, letting go of what anything that we think is supposed to look like. Yesterday I had a couple of conversations on a couple of different areas and received some feedback from another about how things should be, about what perceptions are, about how certain things need to be or should be based on a given perception. To be more specific, one conversation was about what Facebook was and how it was started by a college kid, and its purpose was to, I don't know, in their words, they had saw the movie, I guess, that was about the guy who created Facebook, and said that Facebook had, in this person's opinion, regressed everyone back to high school level, and that real relationships aren't done online or through Facebook. And I said, okay, well, that's one perception. And yet, I have to say that one of my closest and dearest friends, who I've never met in person, who I met through Facebook a year and a half ago, and I have spoken to on the phone, lives in Ohio, in a town called Akron, a city called Akron. I would have never met, or been much less likely, to have met if it weren't for that medium. And I consider her one of my closest and dearest friends, a sister in many ways. And I think about the communication of the types of people that I attract into my life, because it's what I put out about encouragement and inspiration and working through the tough times and the difficult, and to communicate, when gatherings are happening, whether it's a class or a potluck or so on and so forth. So I say it's a matter of how we look at what it is that we are given, and to get away from the shoulds, or it was this and it can't be anything more. And that's what I said. You get to create out of what the universe gives you. Some people will use it one way. And as Facebook has evolved, so have the people who have been showing up on it to help it evolve in what was originally drawn out of the angst of a young college student over a girlfriend, according to the movie. The other side of that coin was a letter I had received from a dear friend about how a certain sacredness should look. That all things sacred and ceremonial and ritual be a certain way. And one of the things that I have been with over the last 12 to 24 hours of receiving that and just meditating and being with that is that everything is sacred. You know, from the brushing the teeth to having a ceremony like a wedding or a childbirth. Now, we don't often celebrate brushing our teeth, although I'm sure there are some people that do. I know that I have, if I hadn't brushed my teeth after 2 or 3 days of being in the woods or something like that, or losing my toothbrush, like, wow, that was awesome, that felt so good. But the other side is that we all celebrate our sacred journeys and our sacred moments differently. And as much as some people will go to church and dance and sing and laugh and jump around, others will go to a similar service or place to worship and be reverent and quiet and say amen and do it in a different way. But both are celebrating the gifts that we get with no judgments. So it's okay. Everything is there to serve us and us to serve it in some way. But it's when we get caught up in these differences, I guess my point of all that is when we get caught up in all these differences, all that's going on around us and all that we feel like should and shouldn't be going on, that's when we lose our center. That's when we give our power away to everything that is outside of us, as opposed to staying within and knowing and believing in our truth and trusting. I mean, that word just keeps coming up for me constantly. Just trust. You know what you know. Pheonyx, Roldan, clear the voice. And yet there is so much more that you have yet to learn and discover and share. And so, in this moment and in this now and in this quiet, beautiful place of coming into balance and letting go of those who still hold on to deep and strong ideas about the way things should look. And lovingly tell you, you know, I'm not judging, I'm just saying, well, I understand, and I hear you.